Well, hi there. My name's Noreen Smith, and I am the Product Development Creative Manager at Creative Memories. And I am thrilled to be with you today to talk about some brand new products in the Creative Memories lineup. Now, traditionally, Creative Memories has not been a stamp and ink company. We have focused primarily on decorative paper products to preserve our photos, but we know that so many of our scrapbookers would love to have a chance to play with some additional products that would enhance their scrapbook layouts. So we are so excited to be able to offer you inks, brushes, a fantastic 13 by 13 inch non-stick craft mat, and stencils. We think you're going to have a great time using these products to again enhance your layouts. Now, if inks scare you or you're a bit worried that you don't know how to use them, I'm here to tell you a little bit about each of these products and show you a few easy ways you can get started adding the inks to your scrapbook pages. I will offer a caution that once you get started, you may never want to stop. So let's talk first about the inks that we've chosen to carry. We are carrying a limited number of colors from the Memento Dewdrop line from Tsukineko Inks from Japan. These are archival water-based dye inks, which dry quickly and clean up very easily. They are blendable and they can be used for techniques such as distressing, brushing, stenciling, and so much more. And the reason that we chose the Memento brand is because we know that being photo safe and archival is one of the most important things to our Creative Memories advisors and customers. We chose this dewdrop size of ink because it's just the right size to play with and to add those little accents of color to your scrapbook layouts. Now, the colors that we've chosen are not exclusive to Creative Memories, but were carefully selected from the broad range of ink colors from Tsukineko to coordinate with our CM custom colored cardstock. First up, we have Lilac Posies, which complements our new plum cardstock. Potter's Clay, which works beautifully with our new caramel cardstock, and Rich Cocoa, which works beautifully with our hot fudge cardstock. So you can see that although they are not exact matches, they are going to work beautifully in conjunction with our cardstock colors and therefore in conjunction with our collections. If you have had a chance to see our Croptoberfest line, or our brand new fall collection called Grateful Harvest, you'll see that these colors are the perfect fall complements to these collections. And speaking of fall, we have a new 5 by 5 inch falling leaves stencil. These stencils have been specially designed to feature different edges so that you can have a decorative edge in 4 different ways, plus beautiful icons that match the themes of collections. So again, the fall leaves and acorns will be beautiful with Grateful Harvest, and the lovely hydrangea blossoms complement Croptoberfest theme perfectly. Now you'll also notice that the colors of the brushes coordinate with the colors of the inks. And that's so that you always have a brush for each ink. That way you don't mix up your colors. And one of the things we're most excited to add to the line is the new non-stick craft mat. Now this is a 13 by 13 inch size craft mat. And once you get it unrolled, you'll see that there actually is 2 different sides that I want you to be aware of. The side that has the Creative Memories logo on it is actually the grippy or sticky side. So you want to place that face down. The opposite side with no Creative Memories logo on it is a slick, non-porous surface that you'll be working on. If you think of this as an artist's palette, you'll be right on the right track. This is where you can apply your inks. This will wipe off easily and it will be the perfect surface to work on. We chose to have it 13 by 13 inches so that it matched the size of our 13 by 13 inch cutting mat. So you can use it directly on top. You can use it in conjunction with your 13 by 13 inch silicone mat, or you can place it directly onto your work surface. And although this was rolled up, it will settle down a little bit. Of course, like wrapping paper, you could roll it in the opposite direction so that it will lay flat. But the grippy side will prevent the mat from moving around as you're working on it. So those are the new products that we are offering, and we're excited to say that we have more to come. You'll be seeing additional colors of inks and brushes, as well as additional stencil designs coming out throughout the rest of 2025 and into 2026. You're going to want to collect them all because they will be going with a broad range of our CM custom cardstock colors. And the final thing that I want to mention is that you can purchase the Buy It All bundle, which includes all 3 inks and all 3 brushes, plus the stencil, and you can purchase the craft mat separately. The only way that you can get the brushes is if you purchase the Buy It All bundle. So you'll want to keep that in mind. So I'm just rearranging things so that the craft mat and the inks are on the right-hand side of my work surface, simply because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to show you a few different techniques of how you can get started. Very easy, not messy at all. I think you're really going to enjoy them. So I've prepared a little sample layout with some of the techniques that I'm going to share with you. And they include edging or distressing, brushing, and stenciling. And then I'm going to give you a little bonus tip at the end. So first of all, let's talk about probably the easiest technique and one that I reach for again and again. And that is simply called edging or distressing. And if you look along the edge of these photo mats or even the edge of this paper, you'll see that there is a small thin line of the dark brown rich cocoa ink. And to create this, all you need to do is to take the cap off of the ink, hold the ink pad in your hand, and swipe it or draw it across the surface or the edge of your photo mat, your piece of paper, your border strip, whatever you're going to be using. And the reason that I like this so much is that, first of all, super easy. Second, when I place a photo or a piece of paper that has that distressed edge, it really just helps it stand out from the background. So when I have it along the edge of this beautiful pattern paper, it creates a little bit of a line between that and the background paper. And it just helps things stand out. So it's a very easy way to just enhance the edges of your photos. If you want, you can take it a little bit of a step further and just sort of angle your ink so that it goes a little bit more onto the surface that you're working. That will really give it that distressed or vintage style. Very easy and really fun to do. And I've actually just moved my work surface a little bit over so that you can see how I like to have my inks and brushes set up as I'm working with them. So I typically will have my ink pad face down, although you don't have to store it face down. I like to do this because then it's easy for me to pop the ink pad out of the lid, use it, and then it reminds me to place it back inside the lid. That way your ink will stay fresh and it will last for approximately a year on your shelf. So let's get on to our second technique, and that is brushing. And I think I'll just show you again along this edge. You can see that the edge of the white cardstock background paper or base page has a nice, soft, diffuse brushed edge. This is very easy to do, and I think you will really enjoy this. Now, in order to do this technique, obviously we need our brushes, and I love these brushes. I love the fact that we have a cap for them to protect your other products from getting ink on them and to protect the bristles from getting damaged. And I love that we have the same color handles as the color of ink. Again, it makes it really easy when you're reaching for something to get the right brush for the right ink. Now, there's many different ways to do this, but when I work with the brush, I like to apply my ink directly to my craft mat surface. So I just take off the little cap and I almost like stamp it down. You can push it down, and I know that on camera it's not going to look like there's a lot of ink there, but it is on the surface of my craft mat. And now I'm going to take my brush and simply smoosh it around, picking up some of that ink. So I do have some ink on here now, and now I'm going to brush from off of the page onto the page, and I'm going to use small little circular motions. So I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to brush onto the edges of the page. I'll pick up more ink as I need to, and it's always better when you're inking to start lightly, and you can always build. Remember that I said these are very blendable inks, so you can see that that has a lovely soft finish to it, and I can go back in and add more. But like anything else, it's hard to take away. So I'll just add some more ink to my brush, and I can make it as dark as I like. The nice thing about blending is I can actually blend two colors together as well. So maybe I'll take some of my rich cocoa, there you can see that on the craft mat a little bit better, and my rich cocoa handled brush, and I can also add a little bit more to those edges and get a dual color. Now, once you get into inking, you can find all sorts of additional techniques online, and you're going to want to play with this. So make sure you grab some of your scrap paper pieces, your scrap cardstock pieces, and try all of these different kinds of techniques before you use it on one of your scrapbook layouts. Now let's talk about the stencils themselves. You might be familiar with some of our other Creative Memories stencils, whether they are the little small size stencils that we've offered at different times, or our full size journaling templates, which were the 12 by 12s and had a lot of different journaling areas plus icons and other images on them. So these stencils can also be used with the inks and brushes. So you're going to want to go through your stash and see what else you might have. Now, stenciling is a wonderful way to get a really custom look for your embellishments. And again, on this little sample layout, you can see that I've stenciled in the hydrangea and some of the leaves, plus I've stenciled a little bit of a border down here at the bottom. And again, we've packed so many different designs in here. We wanted to do the 5 by 5 inch size so that it's portable. We've got a little hole here so that you're going to be able to attach all of the stencils that you collect on a little carabiner or keychain and keep them really handy. They're also perfectly sized to fit in your 5.5 by 5.5 inch fill and file sleeve pockets. So that's another great way that you can store your stencils. Now, when you're starting to use these designs, you're going to want to flip and turn and move the stencil around so that you can figure out which orientation you want these particular icons to be used in. So again, with the hydrangeas, as you notice, you can have the large one off to the side and kind of down to the right. If you flip it over, you get the reverse image. And of course, you can use it in any way you like. So once you've determined that, I want to just tell you briefly about masking. And masking is the technique of using stencils and isolating the area that you want to use. Now, you might have some painter's tape or frog tape. You might have some pixie tape or washi tape. Any kind of tape that has a low tack, removable backing on it will work really well for this. So say, for example, I wanted to use this leaf border like I did down here at the bottom of my page. I would just simply take a length of my tape And I would cover over the parts that I don't want my ink to go through. So now I'll take my stencil and I'll just place it down. I like having a little bit of tape to also hold it all in place. And let's use some of that beautiful Lilac Posies ink. So again, load up my brush just by kind of swiping in a little circle. And then very gently, I'm pressing the ink through the stencil and onto my paper below. And I would just go over it as much as I need to fill it in as dark or as light as I want to. Again, you can blend these colors. You can make them darker and lighter by going over them a couple of times. Until you get what you're looking for. So then as we take this stencil off, we're going to have that beautiful sort of edge border that we can play with. We can add to a card, we can add to a border, we can add to our pages. Let's do a little bit of a larger area now. And this is a good opportunity for me to show you how to clean your stencil. It's the same as cleaning your craft mat. You can either use a damp cloth. I often will keep a bottle or a jar or package of wet wipes in my craft room, not only for messy fingers, but for any kind of messy products. And it simply wipes off with just one little swoop. I also like to keep a paper towel handy just to dry it off. Dry it on both sides, and then it's good for reuse. And that's be the same concept for when I go to clean my mats. Just wipe with a damp cloth and it will pull up all of the ink. To clean my brush, all I want to do is rub it onto some dry paper towel until the excess ink is gone, and then I can store it back with the cap on. So very easy cleanup, as I mentioned a couple of times. All right, let's do a couple of leaves or maybe those beautiful hydrangeas. So I'm going to reuse my tape here. I'm going to tape over the area we just made the border with. I'm going to tape over that leaf. And again, all of this tape can be reused because you can peel it off and then use it again. So now I've isolated the part of the design that I want to use. So let's go in here, and I'm actually going to cover up that edge too, so that I don't have some of the ink bleeding off the edge like I did when I did my border. All right, so now it's in place. Now let's go ahead, get a little bit more of our Lilac Posies ink. And again, just start very gently. And I think maybe that I would like some kind of rust colors. So again, I'm just adding a little bit of my potter's clay and the brush that we just kind of cleaned up. I'm just going to kind of go over the top parts of the flowers with that second color. And this might show you even a little bit more how blendable the inks are. I just want a little bit more of that potter's clay color. And then I'm going to come back along the bottom of my hydrangeas and deepen that Lilac Posies color by adding a second coat and just a little bit more firm pressure so that when I peel it all off, I have a beautiful two-toned hydrangea design. So I hope you can see that. I hope the camera's picking up the two colors blending together. I think it's such a beautiful, soft, diffuse technique, and I really think you're going to have fun with it, not only adding it to your scrapbook pages. Here I've done the same thing with a little bit of the darker brown and then the brown and Potter's clay colored leaves. So lots and lots of possibilities here. Now, besides using some of your old stencils, you can also make your own stencils. So here I have the fun chrysanthemums punch that also came out with the Croptoberfest products. And as you can see, when I punch through to get my little individual chrysanthemum buds that I can layer and use as embellishments, I actually also have a negative shape. And that will work really well to stencil with as well. So anytime you have a negative shape, you're going to be able to go in with your inks and your brushes and create some really fun custom designs. And that's one of the real magic things about using inks. There is unlimited number of designs that you can create in the colors that you want, where you want them on your page. Now, I just want to remind you that all of these techniques are totally optional. You can go ahead and create the exact same type of page without the ink. And it really is just a matter of your own personal taste. Coming from an art background, I love to get artsy, feel artistic, and create all of these fun techniques. I love painting and playing with inks and stencils and stamps, brushing and smooshing. All of that is a joy to me. But if it's not, then don't worry about it. One of the things that I will remind you is that the stencils can also work with our Creative Memories pens. So maybe you're not quite ready for inks. Maybe you just want to come in and do a fun little leaf design by tracing it with your CM dual tip pens. And that's a fun addition to your pages as well. So don't feel that because we are introducing inks that it's something that everyone has to do. There are so many ways to scrapbook. There are so many ways to document and preserve your precious memories. And we just want to give you some variety. And if you like the idea of inking, go for it. We're here to support that as much as we are here to support people who would prefer to keep their layouts very simple and not get inky. Now, I mentioned that I was going to give you one extra bonus technique. And again, this is a little texture technique that you can see in some of these areas. And it looks like there are little splatters or splotches of ink. And this is a technique that is super fun, but you will get a bit messy. You can see some ink on my finger here. And the only other thing that you're going to need for this is some kind of stiff paintbrush. I keep an old toothbrush in my craft room for this very reason. And what we're going to do, we're not going to use these brushes, but we're just going to apply our ink to our craft mat. And then we're going to add just a touch of water just to make that ink a little bit more fluid, a little bit more like paint. And this is just a little Dollar Tree, dollar store bottle that I bought. And again, I keep it in my craft room. It's great for easy cleanup as well. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your stiff bristled brush and just load it up with some of that inky watercolor paint. And you're just going to flick the splattery ink onto the surface of your page, your card, or whatever you're working on. So again, it's just a fun little way to add that texture and a little bit of enhancement to your pages. All right. So again, that's about the only one where I really get dirty. Now, we are really excited about the opportunity to bring you more colors of ink and more colors of brushes. along with additional stencil themes. And we're going to be also looking at bringing you some storage solutions as well as additional accessories. Now, once you're finished with your inks for the day, after you've finished playing around with them and you're ready to put them away, we've already talked about how easy it is to clean up. Again, just wipe up the ink from the surface of your craft mat. Then you can roll that up and put it away. Hard to do one-handed, but just roll it up and put it away. And then you're going to want to put the lids onto your brushes. And again, there's not a lot of residue left on these brushes, but this will really help when you're storing them. You won't get any ink on other surfaces. Now, although we're bringing out some custom storage later on down the road, we do have a couple of things that you might already have that you can use. If you purchased one of the Crafty Life is a Happy Life silicone pen holders, your brushes will actually fit perfectly in there. So you can just pop your brush handles into the silicone holders and you can keep these stored upright on your desk. But again, there is no specific way that you need to store these. I like the idea of using our small flex pod and designating one for my inks. So all my brushes can fit in there. And then these inks are great because they almost stack and they don't take up very much space at all. So I can have a little section for my inks, a larger section for all of my brushes, because again, they're going to be safe and they're not going to get anything else messy because of their lids. And then I can even keep my tape and my stencils in there, close it up. I can label this as my inking kit, and I've got all of my things stored together and ready to bring out whenever I want to go from a more simple page to a more decorative and enhanced page. So we're really excited to bring you more inks down the line along with some other great products. And of course, we're going to be sharing lots of project ideas and techniques with you along the way. So I hope you are as excited about the inks as we are. We can't wait to see what you come up with and how you create and enhance your scrapbook pages with our new inks and brushes and stencils. So thanks very much for spending time with me today, and I will see you again real soon. Bye-bye for now.